68% of U.S. workers polled in a FlexJobs and CNBC survey in August said that they would strongly consider changing jobs, not for better pay, but better work-life balance. Elena Pastore is a career coach who is on a mission to influence the world by creating and providing the best resources to develop people and put them on a career path they desire. She joined me this week to discuss effective career navigation, job searching, and how to stand out in today's job market to land your dream job. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Elena, if you're ready, I'll welcome you to the program, and I'm super excited to talk to you today all about leadership. Great to see you this afternoon, and thank you so very much for being here.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited to be here chatting with you today too, and thank you for having me.
So you're welcome. I know as a young professional, you're always focused on building better leaders. So my first question for you this afternoon as a young professional or young millennial, I'm curious to get your opinion on what makes a good corporate leader.
A good corporate leader. I think any leader, regardless of what level you are, embodies a few different specific traits and characteristics. And for me, I believe those are integrity, active listening, and really taking the time to serve, and doing so understanding the needs of the people that you're serving. And just having the ability to be resilient, especially with what we've seen in the pandemic. Resilience is huge, but also building clarity through ambiguity and uncertainty. So not necessarily having all the answers, but being clear and transparent and supportive through those tough situations with employees and those that are being led. So those are a few of the things that I think, regardless of the level that you're at, those are things that great leaders embody.
Yeah, and part of your goal is also providing resources to create better and more effective leaders. So I'm curious to ask you, how's your mission going? And if you could dive deeper into it for me this afternoon.
Yeah, so my mission, from a kind of a broad overview, is to help people live better lives professionally. And I also believe that leading a better professional life also helps you to have a better personal life. So kind of the ways that I execute that is by helping people understand how to be a leader, and also how to project that onto a career path that works for them and that is suited for their skills and that they are happy in. And there's a lot of resources that people can utilize in order to get themselves on that path. And the resources that'll work best really depends on the person. So, Kevin, if you really love reading, for example, then I might recommend to you, specific books on certain topics, maybe that are going to be good learning tools for you in your career. Or another great one is podcasts. Some people, that aren't into reading might really enjoy hearing some of that same information. And having mentors is another really big one. And on top of that, having mentors that are both within the career or the industry that you're pursuing, or, personal mentors that are maybe more related to your hobbies or things that you enjoy doing outside of work. So, any combination of those things, I think, can all be really great resources to help people get on the right track in their career.
Yeah, Elena, I always say, because I have a background in helping folks with disabilities find employment, and I always say that we all learn and process information differently. So it's important to sort of broaden our tools of perspective, isn't it?
Definitely. And I've personally learned or discovered some of the best tools and resources from, other friends or other people that have found something that works for them and that they've shared with me. So talking to friends definitely is a great way to explore those things too.
And Elena, I'm curious, as a career coach, I'm sure you come across job seekers who are sort of, I don't want to say lost, but so I'll go with stuck in their job search and wanting some direction from you. So I'm curious to ask you about developing a plan to get underway with a targeted job search that is effective and comes away with the results that you're looking for when you're looking for work.
Yeah, so that happens a lot more often than you would think. More often than I would have thought when I started doing this. So there's way more people that don't know what they want, or that, like you said, feel lost or stuck, than there are people that know what they want, at least in what I've seen, and a lot of people that I've spoken to, and people of all ages, all types of jobs and things like that. And, it's easy for people to fall down the path of, well, I've been doing, nursing, let's say, for 10 or 15 years, and I'd really love to do social work, but I don't have experience in social work. I've been a nurse for so long that I don't think I can break into that career. And it's sad for me to see that, people wanting to switch and not really knowing how, or feeling discouraged because they don't have the experience. But what I tell people to do is a few things. Kind of take a step back and analyze yourself and your skills that you have from a very raw and basic level. So, let's say being analytical, that's a really basic skill. But when you're, let's say, in accounting or doing audits, you might think, or you might say auditing or doing taxes is a type of analytical skill, but it's a very specific one. So I challenge people to take what they do on a daily basis and bring it down to the most basic level at what that skill is. And then say, okay, if I'm an analytical person, what's another job that I might enjoy more by applying my analytical skills? And same with, the nurse to social worker example. I would say, okay, well, what does a social worker do that's attractive to you? And what's something similar that you might do in a job as a nurse? And bring that down to the most basic and simple level. And then in an interview or on your resume, talk about how you do have that skill that you got from nursing that you can also then apply to be a social worker. Again, just as an example. So people can, switch careers and do different things. They just have to be self-aware and take those steps to understand what the basic level of the skills that they have are in order for them to articulate that value to an employer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on the importance of networking and also tailoring your resume to each specific job.
Yeah, so both of these are hot topics. There's a statistic out there, I'm not sure what number it is, but there's a huge percentage of jobs that actually aren't ever posted online. And this is where, like you said, where networking comes in. So I always tell my clients, if they have a specific company that they're interested in working at, and they don't have any job openings, that you should still reach out to either a recruiter, a hiring manager, or someone in the company that does the job that you want to do. And reach out to them and just ask them about job opportunities. Kindly introduce yourself and say that you like the organization for XYZ reasons, and explain what you're looking for. And most of the time people do, or maybe I shouldn't say most, a lot of the time people do answer. And I found with my personal experience, a lot of times there might be an opportunity that they do have available and you wouldn't have known if you didn't reach out and ask. Especially being proactive about networking, even if you're in the moment not looking for a job or looking to switch careers, it's always good to establish that network ahead of time. So when you're ready, you know where to go and who to reach out to.
Yeah, as far as the resume, as tailoring your resume to each specific job. I'm wondering your thoughts there too.
Yeah, so as far as tailoring your resume to specific jobs, what I tell people is tailor it to a specific position or a couple of positions, but not to a specific company's job description. So let's say you want to do graphic design. So let's say you want to do graphic design for Amazon. So don't necessarily scrutinize Amazon's job posting for a graphic designer, and then also for Facebook and also for Apple, right? If you're going to apply to be a graphic designer, so the same title at multiple companies, just make a resume that generally fits graphic design or whatever it is you're looking for. And you don't have to tailor your resume specifically to every single company. But let's say you want to do graphic design and you're also interested in copywriting. Those you should have two different versions of a resume. Again, they don't have to be completely different because they're both marketing related, but the copywriting or copy editing resume should speak a little bit more to written marketing as opposed to visual design marketing. And then if you are applying to two different jobs that are totally different, so let's say graphic design and I don't know, software development, you'll definitely want to have two separate resumes because those are completely different. So
yeah, absolutely. Elena, I have a background also I have a journalism degree, and one of the things we learn in journalism school is that you have 30 to 90 seconds to grab people's attention right off the bat. So you have to be both factual and interesting at the same time. And based on my experience working in inclusive employment, I always told job seekers to think of your first line of your resume as a sales pitch that's interesting. So I'm wondering your thoughts on the importance of also standing out on your resume, and how do you get recruiters to pay attention to your resume versus everybody else's? Because if they're not intrigued by a resume, it goes to the bottom of a pile. So how do you get your resume off the bottom of a pile and to the top of the list?
That is a great question. And there is a lot of room for people to improve in this area. So hopefully everyone's taking notes right here. So you just said 60 to 90 seconds usually to grab someone's attention, and you said in journalism and writing. So with a resume, it's much less than that. It's under 10 seconds that people on average, a recruiter on average, will look at your resume. So a few things that will help you stand out and to get at the top of the pile. The first one is to add a tasteful splash of color to your resume. So I've seen some resumes that are crazy with color or use something neon or something really bright with poor contrast. So be mindful of making the color tasteful. So colors that aren't too bright or too dark, and make sure that it has a good contrast with the text. That's the first thing. The second thing, and the most important thing about resumes ever, is to make sure that your bullet points are accomplishments and results oriented. Far too often, I see people that write their bullet points as if I'm reading a job description. So let's say, Kevin, you and I both are writers at the same company. Let's say, one of us might have been there longer than the other, but we both have the same job and we do the same thing every day. So if you write your bullet points, something like, tasked with writing articles daily, work with my team every day, maybe work with a marketing team to write for signature events. So let's say those might be some things on your resume. If both of us have that as part of our job, that's not what you want to highlight. You want to highlight what's different about you that no one else, even if they had the same position at the same company or even at a different company, as you could not say. So that's where we want to put, again, if we're writers at a company, we might want to say, okay, my article got this many views or this many shares, or, this many likes even, or, it led to either an engagement rate going up or a conversion rate going up or something like that. I want to see the results of what you did that's different from the next person. And if those results can be illustrated in a number, such as a percentage, a dollar amount, if you helped save your company money, or saved your company time, or just a raw number is fine too. Like if all you can say is, I wrote 10 articles and I don't have any information on the viewers or anything like that, that's good too. But if you have the results, that's the best thing that can make you stand out and get you to the top of that pile.
So what you're telling me is that tangible results increase production of your personal job search, huh?
Exactly. Yep. And there are things you can talk about in the interview too. So it's good to get your brain thinking about that ahead of time.
Absolutely. And I don't know how much research you did on me, but I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. It just simply means that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally. And one of the things I'm passionate about is developing avenues of empowerment and inclusion for people with disabilities in the workforce. So I'm curious to get your definition of how you define both empowerment and inclusion at work.
It's a good question. So empowerment, I think, is really about encouraging, but I think the word empower is stronger than the word encourage. But, a combination of encouraging, motivating, and inspiring. I really like the word inspiring, and also enabling. So providing people with the knowledge, the motivation, and the tools that they need to do whatever it is, that they're doing. So for me as a career coach and as a leadership coach, it's asking people the right questions to help them uncover information and learn more about themselves that they can apply to their job that they already have or their job search. So once you ask the right questions and they're able to, dig deeper within themselves, I think that is empowering to them to make an action based on that new information they've learned. And inclusion, I'm actually really big on the Strengths Finder assessment, if you know what that is, or if anyone listening knows what that is. And includer is my number one strength on those assessment results. And for me personally, inclusion is about not just giving everyone a seat at the table, but accepting what they bring to the table. And, inclusion is obviously, it goes beyond what you see on the surface of a person. But I think, physical inclusion, but also intellectual inclusion, inclusion based on past experiences, both, hardships, as well as positive things. So for me, it's really not just about, I see you for who you are, or, you as a person or a group, but also I accept you and I welcome you and I value you.
Yeah, variety of perspective allows you to broaden your knowledge base, doesn't it?
Definitely. And I grew up in a town, not a small town, but I guess it's a city. I grew up in a place where everyone was the same. Everyone, it's honestly just crazy looking back. Everyone was the same until I left and moved away. I didn't understand really how much diversity I was missing out on. And I've met so many friends, over my college years that have had, like you said, so much diversity and perspectives and, background and who they are and where they're from and what they believe and, what knowledge they have and everything like that. So it's, I definitely encourage everyone to, if you are like me from a place where kind of everybody is the same, to jump out and learn some different perspectives and talk to different people, because it really does open your mind.
And Elena, tell me, how do you think soft skills and interpersonal skills are interconnected?
So I think that interpersonal skills are a type of soft skill. I don't know if everyone would agree with that, but to me, I think interpersonal skills are a type of soft skill. To me, I define soft skills as skills that don't necessarily have a right way. So, hard skills are usually math or coding or, maybe diagnosing someone with an illness, which of course those things can have a little bit of wiggle room, but usually there's a specific procedure that you need to follow in order to do that thing. And so to me, soft skills are skills that there's not necessarily one right way, one outcome, or even one right path. There's multiple things that you can do to use a soft skill and have it be correct, or at least yield a positive outcome. And so for me, some important soft skills are, like I said before, listening, active listening, conflict resolution, cross-functional teamwork, relationship building. And I think interpersonal skills, which you could say are communication and just interacting with people. I think that is a type of soft skill that I do think is very important, because it affects the way you show up to and for other people that you work with. And so I think regardless of what you do, what your job is, even for some of those technical people out there, like engineers, you could have a great technical engineering idea, but you have to be able to communicate and articulate what it is that you're doing in order for other people to also see the value in it and use it. So interpersonal skills, I think, are one of the soft skills that everybody needs to have and work on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also know that you develop and train college leaders specializing in Greek life organizations to enhance their leadership skills and their ability to be impactful. So tell me about that work and what you're most proud of in that regard.
Yeah, so when I was in college, I was in a Greek life organization, and I held multiple leadership roles within Greek life. And that was probably one of the biggest learning experiences that I had into the do's and don'ts of leadership. Doing some great things, but also making some mistakes, of course, myself, because that's how you learn. And so I wanted to empower and teach and coach young leaders so that they can have more knowledge in how they approach and execute those roles when they do, graduate to the positions like that I had, because there really wasn't much leadership training that was really given. So I've had the opportunity to work with a few different groups of women. So the sororities, the women, of course, I'd love to work with men as well, but so far I've just worked with some of the women. And, like I said, younger and upcoming leaders. And it's been really great to share some of my experiences with them and some of the things that I think they should look out for. And I think that they enjoyed seeing, I guess, someone's hindsight perspectives on the obstacles they don't know they're going to face. So that's the biggest thing. You don't know what lies ahead until you get there. And that's one of the things that I wanted to teach them about and help them be more prepared for, so that they can be better equipped to tackle those head on when those challenges do arise. And so, they, have seemed like they have taken and embraced that information. And both of those organizations that I spoke to was recently, so I haven't followed up with them yet on how they've been doing, but I hope to do that soon and hope that they've been able to implement some of the practices that we've talked about.
Yeah, fantastic. And I know that you're a Florida Gator at heart. You went to Florida. And I have to tell you, I view the state of Florida as my second home when I'm not here at home in Canada. So tell me, what was the best part of your college days? I'm curious.
Yeah, well, so like I said, I was a part of the Greek life. I was in a sorority and I did a lot of leadership there, which was definitely a highlight and gave me so much opportunity to, do a lot of things. I was also really involved in the business school, which was another really exciting piece of my college career. But outside of the, I guess, involvement in the more professional work, going to the football games is just such an incredible experience. And I don't know if you have been to a big college football game, but I grew up in Rhode Island, so going to the Patriots games, and the college football games are just such it's such an overwhelming experience, even more so than going to a Patriots game. So it's really just breathtaking, and to just be a part of a school where the pride is so strong and where you just feel like you're in such a big community and kind of like a family when you're there. And it's just a great feeling to be there and do the chants and everything like that. So that would be definitely one of the highlights of the more fun elements of being a Gator.
And you went to school in SEC country in the swamp. Yep. That must have been fun, huh?
The swamp. Yeah. I'm surprised, yeah. Yep.
Are you kidding? I'm a college football fanatic. Of course I know about the swamp.
Yeah. So you probably know we're not doing too great this season, but
no,
maybe next year.
The 34-7 loss to Georgia, wasn't that fun to watch, huh?
Oh, I wouldn't say fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that either, but I'm also curious to ask you about people that are so concerned about landing their dream job and say they get so obsessed with landing a dream job and say they don't get it. And how do you advise people who are so focused on one thing, but they don't sort of appreciate the process of going through the process of applying and getting the job? Because why people may be excited and passionate about getting a particular job, I also think it's important to sort of embrace the process they go through. So I'm wondering your thoughts there as well.
Normally, I see more people that don't go after a dream job than getting upset that they didn't get a dream job. So what I would say about that is, I think a lot of people are a little bit scared to go after either their exact dream job or their dream role or their dream position. And I think a lot more people have to have confidence in their abilities. And like I said earlier, understanding their skills at a basic or very raw level, because that's how you can make the connection for the recruiter about why you would be fit for that dream job. So with that being said, I think more people need to do those things to go after their dream job, but people that get upset about not getting a very specific dream job, I think a couple of things are happening here. And I'm going to steal a line from my coach who actually told me this, but I think it applies, to job seekers as well. And he would always tell me, I don't remember if he had a specific way of saying this, but it was something along the lines of, don't become obsessed with the outcome, or, don't create an outcome in your head before it happens. So don't assign an outcome to a situation before you know what the outcome is. So he would tell me that, and his name is Josh Perry, by the way. He was a professional BMX athlete, and now he's a coach. Personal coaching. He used to do some BMX coaching as well. But anyway, so he's been coaching me on starting my business last year. And when I would get upset if, a client wouldn't sign or if an opportunity fell through, he would say, you're depending on that working out in your favor before you know whether it's going to work out or not. And then you get upset that it doesn't. And I think what you're asking about people that get so upset about not getting a dream job is that they're assigning an outcome before they know what the outcome is. And so, you can't become obsessed with something before you know whether it's going to happen or not, and just be optimistic rather than, thinking it's going to work out one way before you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also curious to ask you about the importance of employers sort of creating the access to opportunity, specifically for women and people with disabilities. I'm always fascinated to ask career coaches their approach to helping employers sort of create the avenue for opportunity as well. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on how nimble or willing do you think employers have to be to meet people where they are and create access to opportunity?
Do you mean for people? Okay, let me know if I'm on track here. So I think it starts with asking people what they want and what types of opportunities they want to pursue or that they want to see. A lot of times we make assumptions, regardless of what end you're on. We make assumptions about other people, about what they want, or about how they want their future to go. And oftentimes we don't stop to ask, well, what do you want? And I don't think it's on purpose. I think it's just a human error where we don't realize we're assuming things about other people, but we think, oh, well, they said this, or, oh, their actions have showed this, therefore they must want this, or they must not want that. And I think it just starts with asking people straight away, do you want to progress your career in this direction? Or would it be helpful for your development if we offered you this training or this opportunity and things like that? So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to combine my last two questions because they're sort of interconnected. I'm curious for you, how do you define personal and professional happiness, and how do you want your personal or professional legacy to be defined?
So I do think it's hard to have either personal or professional happiness without the other. And I think if you have one and not the other, that eventually, short term, it might be okay, but I think in the long term, one will affect the other in, not always a positive way. People, I think it's more of an antiquated phrase that people say, oh, come to work and leave your personal problems at home. And maybe some people can do that, but I think eventually it's hard to continuously sustain that mindset if there are things going on, at work or at home and it not affecting the other, because we don't live separate lives when we are at work or at home. We live the same life, and it's just where we are and who we're talking to and what we're doing. So I think they're very much connected. And I think that it's really about just doing things, whether again, personal or professional, doing things that are aligned with what makes you happy, of course, and makes you feel fulfilled. I think everyone can find fulfillment in a career. They might not necessarily know what that is, but I think that finding fulfillment in your career is critical to being happy in your personal life, and vice versa, making sure that, you're doing the things in your personal life that are making you happy and are filling your cup. So that's that question. And then for me personally, can you repeat the second part? Sorry, about the personal one.
Yeah, no, I was just curious how you wanted your personal and professional legacy to be defined. So if they write the final chapter of the book of your life, how do you think you would want people to remember you?
Okay, that's right. So my dad actually passed away when I was 8. And there was an article that was written sort of about him and about some of the people that he's touched. And in the article, there was a quote or a poem from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I think it was called Success. And there was a line in that says, "To know that one life has breathed easier because you have existed, that is to have succeeded," or something along those lines. To know that one life has breathed easier because of you, that is to have succeeded. Something along those lines. Mm-hmm. And in the work that I do, whether it's working with people to be leaders or working with people on their careers, which are, again, very much go hand in hand, I just want to help people feel like I made their life better. And, they took maybe one more step towards that happiness and satisfaction in their lives, or, learn something new about themselves that can help them in the future. So I just really love that quote, and I love that they use that to talk about my dad. And for me, that's definitely something that, I want my legacy to be, that I helped someone's life be better because they knew me or because I worked with them.
Absolutely. And just finally, tell me, if people want to get connected with you, what's the best way they can do that?
The best way is either email or LinkedIn. So I don't know if you want me to, I can send it to you, of course. I think you already have it, but my email is elena@elenapastore.com. And my LinkedIn is just linkedin.com/in/Elena Pastore, no underscores or dashes or anything like that. And of course, visiting my website, elenapastore.com. So I will send that information to you.
Fantastic. Elena, I really enjoyed talking to you about a successful career in coaching search. We share some mutual interests, so I enjoyed the time I got to spend with you. I want to thank you for taking the time to answer my questions and for joining me this afternoon. It's most appreciated.
Yeah, you too. I love your spirit, and this is the first time we spoke in, I guess, real time, not on messaging. So I love the energy that you have, and I love that you took the time to make some really personal questions to ask about me. So it means a lot that you put those together, and I had a great time chatting with you too.